So in the next videos, what we're going to be doing is making sure that our final answer from finding the equation of a line is in the correct format that we want. And in this case, we're going to be looking at a particular format of ax plus by equals c, where a, b and c are integers. So we want it in a format like 2x take away 3y equals 7, for example, because a would be 2, b would be minus 3, and c would be 7. And all three of those are integers. So that is the structural form that we want it to be in. Now, if you're using the y equals mx plus c method to find the equation of your line, then you can get to these structures. But these are not the structures that we want to solve the problem. So this video is all about rearranging these to get them into that format, where a, b and c are integers. So the first one, y equals 10 take away 2x, all we need to do is make sure the x goes onto the left-hand side. So if we add 2x to both sides, we get 2x plus y on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we're just going to be left with 10. And that is in the structural form we want. The a is 2, the b is 1, the c is 10. So a, b and c are all integers. So that's all good. So that's the first one. The second one, y equals minus 5x plus 30. So if I add 5x to both sides, I can get the x's on the left-hand side. So 5x plus y, and I'll be left with 30 on the right-hand side. And that's precisely what I want. The a is 5, the b is 1, the c is 30. And so that's perfect. That's what I want, okay? So some of these we'll just be able to do in one line. Number 3, y equals 1/2 x plus 7. Now, if we think of it in a similar way to these two, if I get all the x's onto the left-hand side, subtract a half x from both sides, so I'm left with 7 on the right-hand side, you might think, okay, that's ax plus by equals c. But here, a is minus 1/2. Minus 1/2 is not an integer. So, what I need to do is get rid of the fractions. So in order to do that, what you need to do is to multiply the equation through so that the fraction disappears. So the way to do that is to multiply through by the denominator. So if you multiply through by 2, then that gets rid of the fraction, and then you'll have all integers. So minus 1/2 x times 2 is minus x. Plus 2 lots of y, so everything must get multiplied through by 2. 7 times 2 is 14. And now it's in the structural form I want. So we've got minus 1, 2 and 14 as the a, b and c. And they're all integers. If you don't, for aesthetic reasons, if you don't like there being a minus x there, you could always multiply the equation through by minus 1, and then you'll get positive x, take away 2y equals minus 14. Multiplying through by minus 1 does not change the equation at any point, okay? It's still the same equation, it's just in a slightly different format, and it does still fit the bill, because a is 1, b is minus 2, c is minus 14, they're all integers. Okay, so that is perfectly fine. Right, the next one is y equals, minus 1/3. So minus 1/3 x take away 2. So again, what I'll do is I'll add 1/3 x to both sides. So rearranging it first. So I'm left with minus 2 on the right-hand side. And then because a third isn't an integer, I'll multiply through by 3 to get rid of the fraction. So multiplying through by 3, I'm going to be left with x plus 3 lots of y, minus 2 times 3 is minus 6. And so that is now in the required format. A is 1, B is 3, C is minus 6. Right, how about number 5? So number 5, we have y equals 3/2 x plus 1/3. Now, in this case, we've got two fractions, 3/2 and 1/3. They both have different denominators. Let's rearrange it into the format first. So take 3/2 x on both sides, leaving you with that structure. Now, because you've got two different denominators, if you multiply everything through by 2, it'll get rid of this fraction, but you'll be left with 2/3 on the right-hand side. So you'll still have that fraction there. Then, to get rid of that fraction, you need to multiply through by 3. So you can either do this in a two-step process, multiply through by 2, then multiply through by 3, or because you're multiplying through by 2 and then multiplying through by 3, that's the same as multiplying through by 6. So you could multiply through by 6 from the outset. It is really up to you. So if you want to do it in stages, you can. If you want to do it in one go, minus 3/2 times by 6 is minus 9. So minus 9x, 6 lots of y, and then 6 lots of 1/3 is 2. And so that is your form. Again, if you want to multiply through by minus 1, you can. Okay? Now, I'll just show the stages if you want to do it in pieces. So, if you multiply through by 2 first, we'll get minus 3x plus 2y equals 2/3. And then you can multiply everything through by 3. So minus 9x plus 6y is equal to 2. If you prefer doing it that way, go ahead with that. Okay? That is actually my personal preference. I do feel like I'm going to make less mistakes doing it that way. Right, last one. Y equals minus 1/6 x take away 2/9. Right, let's rearrange it first. So if I add 1/6 x to both sides, okay, so I need to get rid of the 6 and the 9. Now, 6 and 9 both have a common factor of 3. So if you wanted to multiply it through by just one number and get it in its simplest form in one go, you want to multiply through by the lowest common multiple of 6 and 9. So that would be 18. Okay? If you multiplied through by 18, then not only will it get rid of your fractions in one go, but also it'll be written in its simplest form. So multiplying through by 18, 1/6 times 18 is 3, so 3x plus 18y equals, and then you've got minus 2/9 times 18 is minus 4. So that's multiplying through by the lowest common multiple of 6 and 9. Okay? But if you're not keen on doing it that way, then there's a slightly longer but fine way of doing things, right? We could multiply through by 6 first to get x, to get rid of this fraction here. So plus 6y equals, so minus 2/9 times by 6 is minus 4/3. Okay. And then multiply through by 3 to get rid of this fraction, we'll get 3x plus 18y is equal to minus 4. Okay? And so we can do it in 2 steps. I had it in my head that it was going to take 3 steps, but that's perfectly fine because I was thinking that I could multiply everything through by 6 to get minus 12 over 9, and then multiply through by 9, and then I'd have to simplify the fraction down, simplify the equation down, which didn't happen because the calculator automatically simplifies the fraction for me, and so that to minus 4/3 rather than having minus 12/9. Okay, so actually the calculator simplified the process for me, which is good. Okay, so that is how we can get those equations when they're in y equals mx plus c form into the required form of ax plus by equals c, where a, b and c are integers.